Sagittarius is represented by the archer in the zodiacal menagerie of mascots. The way the glyph, or the symbol for Sagittarius, is written is intended to depict an arrow being fired from a bow. This is a reference to the Greek myth related to this zodiac sign, which goes as follows. In ancient mythological Greece, there was believed to be a race of beings called centaurs. Half-human, half-horse creatures. Centaurs were wild, brutish, beastly creatures who were belligerent and uncivilized, except for one, named Chiron. Chiron was abandoned when he was a baby, and he was found by the god Apollo, who adopted him and taught him things like music, philosophy, and astrology. His adoptive aunt, Apollo's twin sister Artemis, was a great hunter, and she taught her nephew, little Chiron, the fine art of archery. Chiron would later go on to be a teacher and mentor to many important figures in Greek history, like Achilles and Hercules. So, of course, this story prominently alludes to the wisdom and sophistication inherent in Sagittarius. But one thing about this myth that doesn't often get brought up in a lot of other sources is the association with luck and optimism that Sagittarius also has. Chiron is super lucky. He was abandoned by his birth parents. He could have died out in the elements. He could have been raised to be a savage beast like the other centaurs. He could have spent his life moping about the fact that his biological parents didn't want him. But he had good people who took him in, cared about him, taught him valuable skills, and gave him a good life. And Chiron did the very Sagittarian thing. He went on to pay it forward, to become a wise and generous mentor for others. And he was even willing to sacrifice himself to free the great hero Prometheus, who had stolen fire from the gods and gifted it to humanity. Chiron was immortalized in the constellation Sagittarius by Zeus, the king of the gods, who was moved by the centaur's unusually giving and compassionate nature. So we can see how the character of Chiron is embodied by Sagittarius. In their everyday lives, this sign regularly plays out the themes represented in this myth of positivity, wisdom, and altruism. In general terms of the animal's characteristics themselves, centaurs are of course a mythical creature, which brings up the fantastical element of this sign. There's always a beautifully wondrous quality to Sagittarius. If any sign is going to believe in the existence of centaurs and unicorns and dragons, it's Sagittarius. Because with this sign, there's always a sense of like, anything is possible. Never say never. Sagittarius belongs to a class of zodiacal mascots referred to as double-bodied. For example, Gemini, the two twins, and Pisces, the two fish, are also double-bodied signs. Sagittarius is two bodies fused together. And if we think about what the centaur, what Chiron represents, it is that primal animal instinct and vitality melded with the higher rational mind of humanity. And so Sagittarius carries this very pure energy of like a stallion running free and going wherever the wind takes them, at the same time that they have the soul of a well-studied philosopher. Sagittarius is very much about integrating those two states of being within themselves. And it's quite seamless the way you pull it off. As somebody who's not a Sagittarius, I'm always impressed that those two fairly different traits can exist so gracefully within one person. Thank you so much for listening, Sag. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, comment if you have any questions, share this with your friends, and please subscribe. I would be so happy to have you with me.